I just want to turn it over to my co-chair.
Oh, okay. Crime stats is Tracy here, but Adam. Thank you. You're good too.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Constable Block. I work in the crime management unit here at 43 Division. And to start the meeting, I'm going to go through some maps and statistics over the past months.
Adam, just try and keep your voice up because that fan in the background is going to be tough.
Adam, could I trouble you to hold that? I know it's a pain, just to hold the microphone if you don't mind. Thanks. It doesn't do anything that way.
All right, the first map we'll start off with here. This is a map of the collisions that occurred from in the month of November. Signified the dots to signify different types of collisions. You can see what were affected by most here in 42 Division is the simple property damage accidents. This map, although it may look like it has one dots on it, it represents the entire month. And we have assuming pretty good conclusions in 42 Division. We have milder weather than usual this time of year, which is helping us out with that. This map is also prepared on a weekly basis. It shows the superintendent at our weekly crime management meeting. We use that to try and pull up trends that he'll state what he wants to focus in the upcoming weeks to be for traffic.
So traffic enforcement for the coming week is going to be on Lawrence, Morningside, over to McCowan. Lawrence, Morningside, over to McCowan. As the inspector said rightly in a previous CPLC meeting, that doesn't mean that's the only place that we're going to be focusing, but that is where we've seen a number of collisions, specifically at intersections where that are governed by red light cameras. So I want to say a little bit of enforcement, Morningside, over to McCowan, on Lawrence itself. So that's the focus for the coming week.
And further to that, this next map, again, traffic enforcement wise, this shows collisions overlaid with enforcement. The tickets and warnings that we give out every month. The collisions are lightning bolts, and the enforcement is the red dots. And as you can see, like we said, we try to focus our upcoming enforcement where the collisions have affected us. You can see the majority of our enforcement does mimic the lightning bolts where the collisions have occurred.
Yeah, again, it's important to note that we discourage our officers going to what traditionally has been referred to as fishing holes. We want to address public safety in our deployment of our officers and address public safety when it comes to enforcement of the highway traffic guide. So that is why we look at where we're seeing collisions, and then we address that by making it a priority for the coming week. And you can see that this particular map does reflect that where we're seeing collisions, we're seeing enforcement.
Right. This next map will be the break and enters that occurred through the month of November. For these next couple maps, the dots just signify the patrol zone which they've occurred in. 43 Division is divided into 5 different zones. Unfortunately, we have seen a bit of an increase in break and enters in the past couple of weeks. We've been getting a couple of rashes of daytime entries in some of our residential areas, and as you see right here, in some of our apartments. We'd like to encourage citizens, like always, in the residential areas, if you see something that doesn't fit in your neighborhood, to please call it into the police. And especially with our apartment buildings, I know this might be uncomfortable, but when you see people trying to enter that building that obviously don't have a key, or they're not buzzing someone, do not allow them in unless you know them, or they're there to legitimately visit somebody. And also in the undergrounds and stuff, if you see people in the hallways that don't belong or that you don't notice, please give us a call. We'll come look into that.
What we saw this week in one particular occurrence was we had a neighbor watch 3 people enter the backyard of an adjoining home. He watched them trying to force windows and force back doors. For approximately 20 minutes, he watched this go on. He did not call 911. If you see that, we could likely be there prior to them leaving in that particular case, I'm sure. Fortunately, they didn't get into the home, but we believe these people are responsible for other break-and-enters in the area, so it would have been very helpful for us to have received the 911 call. we use the word back home in Ireland, gobsmacked or flabbergasted, maybe is a good word in this country. Why people don't call, and I can't speak to it, but we can watch this occur for 20 minutes. In apartment buildings, we're seeing what we call bump key entries. And if you're in your apartment and you hear tapping in your floor in your apartment, that might sound like a hammer hitting a piece of metal, like a hammer on a nail. That may be something that's indicative of somebody using a bump key to get into another apartment. Please look out your peephole if you're comfortable and see if you can see where they are and call us. We're happy to attend. And it would be simply calling us, believing that there's a break-in or progress. You can hear somebody tapping what appears to be a hammer at an adjoining apartment in your building, and we will attend that.
And if I may, just to drive that point home, in addition to calling, I can't tell you how many times the investigators, officers that go to canvas after the break-in occurred, speaking to neighbors, specifically in talking about apartment buildings. Again, the neighbors will say, yeah, I saw somebody kind of loitering near the stairwell, or somebody I didn't recognize being in the building. Because apartment buildings are neighborhoods in themselves, right? Again, if it stands out, the person doesn't belong there, we encourage you to call. It happens time and time again where after the canvassing, which is always after the fact, people will say, yeah, there was a person. We'll give us a description, but if they call at the time, we can hopefully get there in time to maybe actually arrest them, right?
For the next map here will be the robberies that occurred in November. Our robberies have been pretty static with our statistics last year, which was really good. Last year we experienced a 25% reduction in robberies. We're borderline right on pace where we are last year. So we're doing pretty good. One thing you'll see up here in this 433s area, we have a little bit of a cluster there. We did have several robberies there at the start of November, and our major crime unit did arrest a male who was responsible for some of those. So those damage slowed down. Those were mostly at the start of the month. And as you can see, it was pretty spread out with the rest of the division. Again.
The robberies, again, it's a matter of being cognizant of. We had one this week where somebody let somebody that they didn't know into the building as they were walking in, and they became a victim of a robbery. It's about being aware of your surroundings. Take those earbuds out. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings when you're looking at your phone. If you're wearing jewelry, we had one this week where somebody was wearing jewelry at a bar. It was a male who was very overt. They were wearing it, and it would appear that they may have been followed home. Thankfully, that was costume jewelry, so those that took that from him are going to be disappointed. However, it does underline those areas where people become victimized if they're not careful of their surroundings, careful what they're doing, careful what jewelry they're showing. So it's just little steps that people can take to ensure their own personal safety. These are reasonable steps. I don't think they're unreasonable that you can take just to keep yourself safer, make yourself a little less of a target.
Okay, this next map is the vehicle thefts, the theft of autos throughout the division. And again, in this particular area, in 43 Division, we're experiencing quite a downward trend in our theft of motor vehicle industry. We're down, I believe it's 25% over the year. We are approaching the end of the year, so those numbers will stay pretty consistent at year end. I think that is getting targeted more the older model vehicles this year, so we just encourage you to keep your vehicles locked up. And kind of along the same lines, not theft of vehicle, but theft from vehicles. We just like to remind people to keep your cars locked and valuable possessions out of plain sight, especially Christmas season coming out. The parking lots of shopping malls up at the Scarborough Town Center for vehicles. Just keep your valuables out of sight or not in the car at all. Remember to lock up your vehicles.
Adam's correct. We're down 25%, so we've had 52 less cars stolen this year than we did the year before at this time. So we're very happy with that. We can't claim all of the success to ourselves because the car industry itself has become more proactive in protecting the investment. It you make as a citizen in your vehicle. So it's harder to steal, but it's nice to see a number of 52 less cars stolen in the division this year. It's great. 100%.
The last slide here, this is the 7 major crime indicators for 43 Division. These are the crimes that Statistic Canada measures the crime in the neighborhood throughout that are up there. As you can see, in total, down 1% per year, which is great. We have been trending down over the past couple of years. And in each single category, we are mostly down with a couple flips of some things being up. Like I said, robberies, only one robbery difference so far. So it comes up to a 0% change, which is really good. We have a large reduction from that last year.
Yeah, robberies last year, if you recall, was a priority for us, and there was a 25% reduction in robberies last year alone. So this year would maintain that reduction. So that's very significant and very positive.
And so back to the slides, one other thing I'll mention, we mentioned it here several times too, but we started to see it happen in the past 2 weeks is distraction thefts. So to remind people, we had got some at the town center, and some over in 41 Division and 42. So be alert when you're in the neighborhood if people are approaching you, asking you to see your jewelry, leave you a hug, the different types of things they do. Just be aware of that. We are starting to see some of that happen this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, with regards to the town center, it's again hard to believe that in this day and age, with all of the education that goes on, that somebody would leave their purse in the front seat of an unlocked car, but it happens. Lock it or lose it. It's a pretty simple message. Lock it or lose it.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. So go on to the reports. Community concerns. Anybody have any?
Yes, sir.
Rich.
Rich.
We've had a complaint to our community association in Gilbert about the behavior of traffic on Gilbert Parkway in the area of Chancery Lane. There's a bus.
Chancery Lane?
Chancery Lane and Gilbert Parkway. Heading westbound, there's a bus stop almost right at the corner of Chancery Lane. On the other side of Chancery Lane is a crosswalk. When the bus is at the bus stop, it's covering up the sign of do not pass. And people are just going around the buses. And it creates a danger because a lot of high school students use those buses. And being high school students, they don't cross Chancery Lane and use the crosswalk and do a diagonal through the intersection on that. And the fear is one day somebody hit them.
So we're actually meeting in the morning at Sir Wilfrid Laurier with the Parent Students Council and the principal as well. And hopefully for the next meeting, we'll have some good results out of that. We're going to hopefully form a plan. It's a fantastic point. They're concerned as well. And have a report on that and some numbers hopefully as well on how we help the students out. So great point, and I'm glad you're seeing it as well. Thank you.
I'm not sure if that was captured on the mic. You want to repeat that for the mic?
We don't know what I said. I'll grab the other microphone.
This is a great point, and just to reiterate it, there were some current concerns around the Gilbert Parkway and Sir Wilfrid Laurier area, and it just mentioned that it had already been brought by the parent council as well as the school staff there. We're going to actually be meeting in the morning with Representative Pat Tan, that many would know, as well as I say, parents council, the principal, Dennis and others, and get a game plan together. From there, PC Papadopoulos and PC Park and others will be going out and conducting enforcement. I would anticipate before that, typically we will send a letter out about the old fair warning thing. Guys, this is coming. Please watch your speed of your parking and kind of get those folks that would need a warning first and then game on after that.
Thank you. Is there any other community concerns? This is your opportunity to help us help you. Sometimes we don't know about some of your concerns, and we certainly will never know unless you tell us. So this is your opportunity. Thank you, Reg, for that. If there's anybody else, please speak up.
Yes, the little scooter that has the donut wheels and the training wheels on it. Are they allowed on the highway, like on the main road, like at Eglinton and Lawrence and all those, all day?
Are you talking electric scooters, like the wheelchair, assisted
The,
wheelchair?
no, not the wheelchair one, the one that they ride, it looks like a motorcycle, but it's not, it's the small one. The wheels on it are about that big, and, they can come up alongside you. If you're here and the sidewalk's here, they can get between you and the sidewalk. And if the driver here decides he's gonna make a turn, this person's gonna really get hurt. There was an incident last night on Eglinton, and it was only just fortunate.
So it's basically what we refer to as e-bikes. It's an electronic bicycle. And
Okay,
as it stands, they have right to be on the roadway just as much as bicycles. They have to follow the same laws as bicycles do as well, rules of the road as bicycles, but they are lawful. There's legislation that's being put forward to try to put some restrictions and make them more accountable as an actual motor vehicle. That's still before, it's my understanding, it's still before legislation. But they have the same obligation under the Highway Traffic Act as a bicyclist.
because you can't hear them coming either.
No, no.
There's nothing.
And remember, there's recent legislation been enacted that if you're riding or if you're driving your motor vehicle alongside a cyclist, you must give them 1 meter.
That's right.
Everybody should be aware, you must give them 1 meter, otherwise you could be receiving a ticket from Todd.
Well, most of the vehicles were stopped for a red light, and this guy cruised right up beside him, so. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing from Westerners?
No. Okay. Good. All right, nothing else, so we can move on.
Police report?
Police report, you've heard from myself as we went through the crime stats. I don't know if you've anything to add.
No, just
Inspector?
reiterating the Christmas season and the proverbial lock it or lose it, anywhere and every time. Other people are using the criminal method of shopping and looking for victims. Don't make yourself the victim.
Okay, Todd?
I really don't have anything to add. I know that Paul really have a presentation regarding some of the things you can do as far as preventing break-in and enters.
Come on, guys, it's the last meeting of the year, let's say something, make something
We ready to go?
Detective Sergeants, anything to add?
Just 2 quick points.
Thank you.
Continue to encourage the use of Crime Stoppers. For anybody, if you don't want to actually call the police, Crime Stoppers is a good tool to use. Also, with the holiday season coming up, quite often I investigate break-in enters where afterwards we debrief the break-in enter suspect and we say, why did you pick that house? And they say, well, when I was going up and down the street, I saw the recycling box that we got a brand new iPad for Christmas. So I wanted that iPad, I wanted that house. So keep that in mind when you're, after your holidays, you get gifts. Don't just display your boxes out in the recycling bin, turn them inside out, or cut them up even smaller, because Chris can use that as a shopping list. So just be aware of that. That's all I have. Thanks.
Like the way we mentioned better at the police college, I don't know who you are now. That's all right, that's it, we're out of time.
That's good.
You said you
Okay.
Ready to go?
All of you?
They have a good show today.
Where's the theme music, guys?
And Julie was helping Paul.
Yes.
So it's not lost on us since our last presentation when we spoke, there's about half the size of the crowd here, so. Really, do you want to start? We are going to go, let's see here, you're going to go a little bit in order. Typically, we would start on a property. I know, but just let me know how my sore house. Typically, you start on a property and go from the outside in. The reason being is we're confused race, and we can appreciate that after showing that entry last time through a door. And we wanted to address that that's where we are, and then we'll go back inside.
Everything, Paul said, to complete live, you just wanted to build this door. So
That's
we
true.
started with this first. So as we talked about before, there are 4 main parts of SUPHEAD. You remember last month's in our presentation. And I think everyone was here, you saw our video, the crime scene video of the gentleman breaking into the property here in 23. And it was just 2 shoulders that he was into the house. Paul and I, CPLC's blessing and finances, thank you. We built this door this week just to try and demonstrate it. And we're always talking about strike plates and that type of thing, but just to try and demonstrate exactly why it's important and what we're talking about. So, typical door, of course, this is an inside door, so this would be your outside, heavier duty door, but this is just a closet door for demonstration purposes. But feel free, after the meeting, to come and check it out. I know it's kind of hard to see where it is, but just get along the side here is a strike plate that we install. So typically, what you'd see in your house would be this little guy. So this would be where the door latches in, even if this is a deadbolt, it's regardless where this piece would go into the door. And typically, typical builder door, anything that you would come across, this would be the size of screw, but this would be into the jam head. You see, in a properly built door, the frame, this part of it is like a fiber board, so it's not wood, it's wrecked very easily. And then there'd be a space in between where the carpenter would use shims and that type of thing to make the door square. And then you would have probably 2 layers of 2x4 that would be the framing around the outside. So you can see this screw would only ever access just the fiberboard. It would never get into the frame. And there would only be 2. So the strike plate that we always talk about has a series of 6 screws that are this long. So you can see even with the gap here from a normal door, it would go into the 2x4 surrounding. So it would be, when they're trying to shoulder in your door, it would be the whole structure that they're fighting against. I don't know if you can see. So this is the strike plate just in along the side here. I think that was $9 when we picked it up, so it's not expensive. But depending on your skill set, Paul and I did install this ourselves. So it's something that's available, and then we just added this piece here. This is another area that we'll quite often give away on a door, especially a wooden door at home. Like when it's kicked or shouldered in, the area around the doorknob will break. This is a little bit ill-fitting, like I said, because it's designed for an outside door, not an interior one, but it's the idea of just strengthening that area around where the doorknob or where the 2 pieces would be. And it's, even if you were picturing a deadbolt, a lot of people have in their mindset, well, I have a deadbolt, and that is fantastic, but if the deadbolt itself doesn't go into something hard and structural, it's not going to save anything. And as you'll see as we go through the slides here.
That's our next picture.
Perfect. So
there is it's actually both after, not before and after. But as you can see, and Julie has talked about, we have a deadbolt which holds true, but it's really not doing anything that's going to bust through the wood. And as she was saying, it was a bolt, and even if that door splits within it, in almost all cases that will keep that from splitting, because the officers are confident to get that deadbolt's great, but this is given away. The only last thing was 3 of these long screws, just don't create an injury in the back hinges as well. Because each one will be that long unintended consequences. The first one holds the disc brakes, where you strengthen this, and then that's going to go up and attack door and they go through the hinges. So think how many points we've got here. Typically 3, 6, 9 more screws we can strengthen that bolt on the back. Again, for a few bucks. Here we go. Tom Keats, officers will be very familiar with them. Some of you will be familiar with them. Hopefully not. Once upon a time, we would call, people would be locked in and they would call the locksmith. He would be a magician. He wouldn't like to see what he was doing. And he would go and he would use a bump key and he would get into your house. You would be completely mesmerized by it. pay a significant amount of money, and you got in and retrieved your key, and you're on your way. This is how hard it is now to learn how to do a bump key. It's 2 keystrokes, and you'll watch a beautiful tutorial video on how to do it.
This is just a Google search I did today, just typed in bump key, or how to use a bump key. So this is just the first page of 10,000 hits.
So with a little bit of practice, you can do this at home. I'm not going to attempt it. I'll just show you what it kind of looks like, okay? And again, what we're trying to do, the more expensive the lock, the more complex those couplers are going to be. So, but that's in general principle what we're doing. We're going to take a key that's been filed down, and the next picture will show it, and we're going to line those couplers up. And it's as simple as that. We're going to take the key, and if you saw one, you would see that, as I said, it's been filed down. We're simply going to put that in, take the screwdriver, the hammer, or what it is, and with a little bit of practice, we start doing that. And as the super starting with those taps, and those will start to line up, and we get open. And officers are very aware of it now, but in the past, many times couldn't figure out or think another key had been copied with it.
If people were under the impression, oh, somebody must have a master key to our building or something like that, because the lock itself looks the same from the outside.
So as I said, how many people would be brave enough, and I'll put my hand up first, I'll pass around a key that looks something like that at home. For the front door lock, not the Schlag part, but the key in general terms looks like that. Or most people have one on my right or left. Most people have this key here for the front, or most people have this. Yeah, so we have a couple of breaks. So I would suggest that probably 98% of us in here have the key now that our rights and lefts are the same. On the left, including me. And I'm going to pass those around right now. You can see the average one. This one happens to be Schlag. We don't recommend products. We're not in a position to do that. However, those that were in the industry would call that the Cadillac of keys. And there's a couple of reasons. You can see all the safety features on this. But the other thing too was, I'm going to be married to. Oh gosh. If my wife and I, if I go and if she goes and gets keys cut, and she is at with these folks here, they've be done at the locksmith. But they have incredible key control. So one on the left, I go to Walmart, Canadian Tire, what have you, I just simply get them cut. If I'm not on the registry there, and this is part of the magic of the locksmiths pride themselves on why you pay this increased price. If your name is not on that registry, they will not cut a key. It doesn't matter if it's your husband or wife. They will only duplicate keys for people that are associated with them. So right off the bat, we've limited our keys that are in circulation. Secondly, all these safety features. So again, if someone wanted to cut it, imagine the average teenager in Canadian Tire. Think of that copies of keys are the best products. But think of them trying to cut that on the right hand side. Rather than like this. But finally, the fantastic part is, back at those tumblers, the tumblers are much more complex and more difficult to do. You can see with almost complete certainty that the pump piece, you can see it here, we're similar to one on the left. You can see it's a much simpler key.
Of course, we're going up in price though. We started with $9 for the strike plate. This wrap was $17, I believe. And one of these deadbolts with a high security key is going to be $250, $300. So it's a big range. Whereas, you know, a deadbolt, a regular deadbolt for your house, you can buy them for $13 each.
And we've done it in a specific order. We try to keep price in mind. And again, if we're only going to do one thing, this would be our recommendation. If we're going to do two things, it would be these together. That would be the final one. There would be no purpose in having that key on the right without having this reinforced. Then you just have a fantastic block that is really measured just across the middle of the board.
The last thing we wanted to touch on quickly was window film. Here, generally speaking, we want to cover on the 3 types of entries: bump key, like some sort of a blunt force entry to the door, and then windows. I've taken these pictures just for demonstration purposes from the G20 downtown. So you can see this is Bank of Nova Scotia, and they have the window film. So you can see the level of kicks and damages and the attempts that somebody has made to get into the bank, and they're still not in. This is tempered glass, obviously, and probably with one share or whatever they had at the time, they would have been into the store.
You'll see as those are passed around, there's all kinds of versions of those. There's tinted, there's solar, security, glass. They all do a little bit different, but the same concept. You'll notice that it's three of them on there. They're the only ones that are making that product, so that's why it's three. Little demonstration.
So just a quick video. Again, it's a little bit over the top, but it's just to demonstrate how well this works, and picture this to be on a window in your house.
And I'd like to thank Mike Marks for participating as the guy who asked. Mike, you're saying thank you very much for donning the mask for this movie.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So we saw the other guy's already been through in 3 seconds, right? So all I'm done, just simply walk through it.
And again, as the superintendent was talking, about earlier, I would really hope by this point, one of your neighbors would maybe pick up the phone and call. Sorry, Inspector, they really want to sell you a water heater? Is that
Yeah, that's
what
it. That's the impression water heater.
See this poor fellow's foot's getting lower and lower. I guess in most cases they've given up by now.
Paul and I have spoken several times to the people that install this stuff, and they're saying the real strength in the product is actually like a caulking type material that they put in that keeps the plastic attached to the door itself.
Did you remember how long the average touch is going to be in your house? Usually about a minute, so you paint it. Can people install it themselves? They absolutely can install themselves. Yeah, obviously the smaller the window, it's going to be easier to build. I would want to, I'm sure window can get out. Well, my water. Yeah, very good point. Just as we're speaking, yeah. The question was about, just very quickly, a lot of us, including being on a solid door, because you've got a little bit of glass down the side, the stained glass or what have you. You get excellent product on there so someone can't reach through.
But that's also to the end.
Yes.
And just last again, in relation to windows, there are a number of companies that will do products like this that, you know, it is a security feature, but it doesn't necessarily look like your typical bars on a window idea. And this is another thing, rose bushes. Anyone that's ever tried to battle by something like that, you know, generally speaking, somebody might choose a different area or a different window to hit. So if there's something that you're not interested in putting bars or making it look too security, just where you decide to plant bushes might be very helpful.
If someone go out here, again, it's only kind of a part of the presentation because we've done other parts, but could someone go out here and still? Of course they could. But if you think that there's a whole bunch of lamb chops lined up and then there's one turkey line, you're going to go after the lamb chops. I would hope every time. And again, after a couple of attempts, you're going to move on. As we proceed in a couple of months going forward, you'll see that landscaping and such, we encourage you to not even get this started and try.
Anybody have any questions?
We're not making stand-up door displays. I know everyone can ask that question. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we were supposed to hear from Randy next, but unfortunately Randy has called in sick today, so we'll hear from him next time.
Mike Marks, talk about the project, please.
Mike, the microphone is right here.
Thanks, Joe. The annual CPLC conference was last November 28th. Forget it, it's not a good it was great, always great, and I think I've attended all of them. This year's theme was our aging population. I don't know if you noticed that yet. Concepts, challenges, changes. Questions being asked are, what is happening? What is impacting safety and well-being? What is already being done? And what is working? What helps? What is needed?
The keynote speaker was Dr. Samir Sinha. This guy was amazing. He had some information that really had us paying attention. Of course, our population is aging rapidly, and then he gave us some statistics. 16.1% of our population is 65 and over. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't do that. That is more than 14 and under. Age group 14. And out of 96 countries, and I don't know, he didn't say what those countries were, we rated 5th in the world. Living. Of the population at 65 and over, 10% have dementia. That is very interesting. And this I can understand. 37% have a language problem. And 54% have activity limitations and disabilities. That is it. These things, according to Dr. Sinha, are very, very, very important for us to know, to be able to react to. And some of the other speakers who were there confirmed this. Like Andre Austin, the development officer, the City of Toronto, Dr. Janine Weber, Dr. Melissa Ferns from Humber. After that, we were asked to do a group table discussion. And this year, we were assigned specific tables, which was great, including yourself. And we were asked to do a group discussion on issues and recommendations, of course. And this was we have to base it on home security, personal safety, community safety, elder abuse, fraud, and financial literacy. All these things were, when they came out, it was amazing. After the discussion, we had a report from each day who, and judging from the overall views, it was fantastic because they were able to produce some very innovating, valuable suggestions and recommendations. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I imagine it's going to go on into the works of whoever is the various organizations who are working on the seniors' problems in this city. And I think it's great. I think it's a great thing. Anyway, and in our binder we had a sheet with a lot of suggestions. Protect yourself from financial abuse. And the other batch is fraud prevention tips, which I'm going to get to add to send out the minutes if possible. Apart from that, the conference was, as usual, it's always great. Always a great conference. And it always produced some very interesting information. We get to understand CPLCs are doing. This is something we've been trying to get for a long, long time. That's about it. For me, it was great. I got driven down by Ruby. I got entertained down and back.
By Rudy, right?
By Ruby. That's it.
And he's a pretty good driver.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we have skate day now, but I've made up sheets for the report, and I'm going to send it to Ann. I don't want to take your time to read it all, so I have quite a few copies if somebody didn't get one. It was not as many kids came this year. I'm just not sure why. Somebody commented that it was my fault because I didn't send them enough flyers. But I don't really think that was the excuse, because I did send out flyers and posted them in community centers. But we ended up, and I did put this in in other years, Deep Kabi from the storefront has always been involved. He brought his kids always to help as volunteers. I've got that, I'm gonna send that to you. And, but he's not allowed now to be part of our events or city events unless they have themselves organized it. They've got a new mandate that's to do with the Tides Financial Foundation, I guess. So he was one that advertised everything that we did amazingly well to all the Galloway Road, all those other areas. So maybe that was part of the problem. Also, this year we had 2 rinks. And I don't think we've ever had 2 rinks, have we, Kelly? Or no, 1 rink. And so it's hard to tell. I said, somebody told me about 200, but we've had as many as 453. So it was, we had the volunteers from NOAA, which were good, and also from the Heron Park, the recreation youth group there. So lots of skates, we have lots of skates still left, and it was a good event. And all of our, I think we spent the most on skate sharpening. That was quite expensive, even though I got the deal of $3 a pair. We did spend, what, about $720 some or something, because the skate sharpening was $400 something. Anyway, that's good, and we're happy to have done it, and the kids that came, were happy. So that's it.
Okay, so that concludes our live portion of the CPLC